Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today I kind of wanted to touch again on Brian Peck, everything going on with Nickelodeon, because there's one aspect of this multifaceted, massive story that I cannot come to terms with. Well, there's a lot I can't come to terms with, but one specific detail that has me all the way fucked up is everything relating to John Wayne Gacy and Brian Peck being pen pals. Full transparency, I haven't watched Quiet on Set. I don't feel like I am mentally in the position to. One of my friends has watched it. She told me about how heavy it was, and I don't think I am prepared for that right now. It's one thing to read it and X out of the window. It's another thing to see and hear. So I would put that little warning for anyone else who might want to watch it based on what she said. The whole thing with Gacy, I feel like, I don't want to say was glossed over necessarily, but I just feel like I didn't see as much outrage about that as I expected to. Now granted, obviously the first priority is going to be talking about the victims, duh, and that's right. But it's also like, I do think one of the big puzzle pieces of all of this is we're all trying to understand what the fuck happened, how did it happen, how did Brian Peck get away with all this shit for so long, right? We have all of these questions, and I do think that Gacy isn't necessarily an answer, but a relevant factor nonetheless, because I'm just gonna briefly discuss John Wayne Gacy. I'm not gonna give you a whole history because I think we all know, but I think reading the crimes out loud and just reminding everyone of whomst the fuck Brian Peck was pen pals with and had a self-portrait of, which I'm gonna show you the self-portrait because I feel like I didn't show it in my other video. I am truly alarmed, and it's not just my coulrophobia. It's really not just me having a phobia of clowns kicking in. It's really... Anyway, I'm not going to give you a full history. I'm just going to read things that I think are particularly pertinent here in relation to what happened with Brian Peck and Nickelodeon. So in 1968, Gacy was accused of sexually assaulting a teenage boy and attempting to assault another. He vehemently denied these accusations, and some community members believed him over the victim. Interesting. He persuaded one of his employees to assault the victim in an unsuccessful attempt to stop him from testifying, according to Killer Clown. Gacy was convicted and received a 10-year prison sentence. He got divorced. He ended up only serving 18 months, by the way. Anyway, Gacy was arrested again the following year after another teen claimed he lured him into his car and drove him to his house, where Gacy tried to force him into sex, according to John Wayne Gacy defending a monster. The charges were dropped when the boy didn't appear during the trial. In terms of Gacy's murders, because as we know, he's a serial killer, I believe there were 33 victims in total, but I did want to focus more on the sexual assault, the rape, all of that come with Gacy, because I really do think that is central here, considering. Gacy committed his first known murder in 1972 after luring the 16-year-old Timothy McCoy to his house for sex. Then it goes on to describe what happened in terms of the murder. By the middle of the 1970s, two more young men accused Gacy of rape, and he was questioned by police about the disappearances of others. Gacy referred to this period of his life as his cruising years when he committed most of his murders. So here I gave you a few brief facts. I didn't give you a full chronology. I didn't even give you a summary of everything he did. But just knowing about these few instances where Gacy lured minors to his car, to his house, wherever it may be, and forced them into sex, okay? You go to the house of the person who's running your kid's show on Nickelodeon. You see, not only you see, he shows you, he goes out of his way to show you this weird ass clown painting, this thing. He shows you this, he's proud about it. He shows the kids the letters in his bedside table, and granted, I don't know which adults saw what, so I'm not gonna put the blame on any particular adult. But any adult who saw any of this and not for 1 second was like, wait, this is not right, something is off here. Genuinely, I do think that anyone who saw this and did not act, I don't want to say is guilty, complicit. I'm not trying to put guilt on anyone. That's for people to put on themselves. How do you see that and be okay with your kid being around that person? And that's part of like what had me truly aghast, or anyone who even knew Brian Peck and knew that he had all of this in his home and was creepily proud about it, with a quick Google search, you would have found out that Gacy raped young men, boys, and you think that's the person who's gonna be okay around your kids all day? This isn't secretive. This was out there. And someone who keeps letters in their bedside table, and like I said, I don't know what all the parents, adults knew, but if he was showing the kids, it's hard for me to believe that he would only just show the kids or nobody else knew all of these things put together. I'm very confused at that. And I'm just wondering how it is that even the fact that he was pen pals with John Wayne Gacy wasn't the biggest red flag to pull the plug immediately. Even not knowing about Gacy in terms of his assaults and rapes of young men, knowing that someone that is working with your kid is so chill, I guess, with a serial killer, that the serial killer sends him a painting and signs it your friend. I'm not in the Hollywood scene, thank God, never have been. But I can imagine that there's some quirky characters out there, but I don't know how this one went under the radar. There are a lot of things that I think happen extremely subtly. There are a lot of times when people should have spoken up and they didn't, and I think we've seen that already. But in this particular instance, something that's being taken out of wherever it's stored, that painting, the letters in the bedside table, something that's being shown like it's a little party trick, and nobody thought anything of it enough to be like, wait. And the only person who did, I think it was Drake Bell's dad, who then was basically cut off and fired. The fact that nobody thought that anything was off is very strange to me. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below, but this particular detail of everything that happened has kept me not up at night, but seriously questioning how it is that something of this sort would happen, because I know that if I ever met someone who was communicating with a serial killer, I already would have questions for why that is, right? And I think everyone has a level of morbid curiosity, but for most people it doesn't extend far enough to become friends with that person, let alone if that person is also a rapist of young men and you work with young men. Does that not, I don't know. I feel like somewhere down the line your empathy should have kicked in, and not for the serial killer, but for the victims. People were saying on the comments in Twitter, they were wondering what Peck was saying to Gacy, and I started to wonder that myself, because I'm like, there are some commonalities there that we know of now, so I'm wondering, were there admissions on Peck's end? Like, did he say anything in those letters that would indicate that he actually did do the things that he's accused of doing, which I believe he did do? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.